Oh my God, we're back again. Hello everybody. That little intro will be relevant to anybody who has popped on my Rewrite Your Story Instagram page this morning. But hello, we are back. It is episode 13 of the Rewrite Your Story podcast. Woohoo! I am really excited to get this episode out to you guys. And I know I say that every week, but I really am. And especially with this one, I mean it when I say this one has been a long, long, long time coming. This episode was actually recorded back in September 2020. It's now almost March. So of 2021. So you can imagine I've been anticipating getting this one out to you guys. But as I mentioned in my last episode, life happens, things got in the way, but I'm still making sure I get all of the great content that I previously recorded out to you guys. So this week, I just want to give you guys a bit of a heads up that there may be a bit of a trigger in the content this week, as we do talk about things regards with fitness and your physical health. I know on this podcast that we talk about your mental health quite a lot, but we don't necessarily talk about the physical health. And it's so important. And, if I'm honest, the two really go hand in hand. And that's why I've brought Kyle on this week to talk to you guys, not only about the body, but also the mind and how the two go together, and his wonderful business, Attitude Fitness. And I guess, that's maybe what part of his name, it's all, not just about the fitness, but it's about the attitude that goes along with it. And I'm really excited to share this episode with you. Now, for anybody that potentially feels a bit triggered by the thought of talking about the gym and fitness goals and, dare I say it, the word dieting, those things triggered me too, completely. And that's why I have Kyle on to share his mindset, his view on the industry, and also why his company is a bit different. If I could tell you guys that you can eat the food you want, you don't have to worry about calorie counting. And by the way, when I say eat the food you want, yes, I also mean bagels and pizza, okay? Eat the food you want, not have to do all the calorie counting, not have to figure out what exercises you have to do, and still achieve your goals. Whether those goals are to lose weight, lose inches, or to just feel better and healthier in your body. If you could do all of that without having to go to a gym, without having to be triggered in that environment, wouldn't you want to know that information? Of course you would. And that's why I've got Kyle on to talk with you guys this week. Now, just before we jump into the episode, I just want to give you a heads up. It is a pretty long ride. Like, it's just over an hour, like a smidge over an hour. But I do put a break in. And when I put the break up, please, pause it, come back another day, or if you're ready to take on another 20 minutes, go grab some water and grab a notebook or get the notes section of your phone open. And that's really, really important. There are so many good pieces of information that Kyle shares, and there's actually a bit of homework we give you guys that I want you guys to note down and check back in with us later in the week to let us know how you got on. But I'm going to stop rambling here and let's just get into the episode. Hello and welcome to the Rewrite Your Story podcast. If you are someone who is looking to take power back into your life and be in control of your destiny, then this is for you. This podcast was created to empower others by sharing the tools that have truly transformed my life. So sit back, relax, and let's start rewriting your story today. I'm trying something new. As you can probably tell, I'm in my bathroom, but I'm trying to not make it look...
you are. Are you in your bathroom?
I'm trying to not make it look so much like my bathroom. So I've pulled my shower curtain around.
It looks really good. You wouldn't know you're in a bathroom. It looks
really?
like
but there's tiles right here, and then my towel is poking out over here. You can almost see it.
Do Canadians understand what you mean whenever you say towel?
Yeah, they get it.
They get it?
Yeah, I don't, like there's people back home that say tile really weirdly, like tarl, tal, like all
Yeah,
sorts of stuff. I say tile. They get it. They
make it.
understand. They make it. It fits for them.
Do you normally keep the plant in the bathroom?
Nope, I brought this in and the chair solely for like aesthetic of this video.
I like it. I
And the
like it.
last time I recorded in my bathroom, this is where my rack is for my towels. You could see the
Okay.
bar. So then a friend of mine suggested to pull my shower curtain over because it's like a pretty shower curtain.
Oh
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
pull it.
Geometric. All about
Yeah.
that life.
She's like, pull it over. So I'm like, okay, I'll pull it over. Let's see what happens. So yeah, this is my makeshift recording studio.
I love it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rewrite Your Story podcast. For those that are tuning in on YouTube, you will see this week that we have a wonderful guest. So I know I could talk about this man forever, so I will let him give you guys a little intro into who he is. So Kyle, for those that don't know you, could you give us a little intro into who you are and what you do?
Sure thing, Amy. No problem at all. My name is Kyle Reain. I'm a worldwide online home fitness coach, helping women all over the world lose weight in the comfort and privacy of their own home that are really anxious about getting results.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering why I brought him on. For those of you that don't already know Kyle or follow him on his social media, not only does he talk great things when it comes to exercise and fitness, but there seems to be so much more that he talks about that also covers that mental side. It's not just about having your body right, it's about having your mind right. And his work has stood out for me for quite a long time. I actually first came across Kyle myself through a personal friend of mine, that she's been working closely with him and posting her progress and her story online, and just seeing how excited she's been about Kyle. It really drew me to his story and his background, and I thought he had some great things to say about the world and mindset and people that I wanted to share with you guys. So Kyle, I know when some people think fitness PT trainers, they just think of like muscles, let's get sexy, like for want of a better expression. But with you, it definitely seems to be a more of a full transformation, mind and body. So I'd love to know a bit more about kind of not only just what you do, but why you do it.
Okay, cool. So I totally understand what you're saying. And I think, from the outside kind of view, initially, that's usually kind of the mindset and the first-hand appearance that people get off that. And that can be to do with, what you see on social media and what you see in advertising and magazines, and everybody's so body beautiful that it's really ridiculously unrealistic expectations for a lot of people. So therefore, I started coaching with a few guys in a local gym whenever I was quite young, just sort of out of high school. And the main reason being was because I felt really body conscious about myself and my shape, because I was extremely skinny. I got picked on a little bit in school, that kind of thing. And I just wanted to be a little bit bigger and a little bit buffer. And I was coming into my sort of 18s, 19s, into my 20s. And I was still about 65 kilograms. And I remember going, when I was 23, traveling to Australia just on my own, just hadn't booked a place to stay or anything, and was traveling around there, ended up in New Zealand going for a bungee jump. And the guy was writing down the weight of everybody who was doing the bungee jump, and he put me down as 65 kilograms, because you had to jump on the scale before you jump, so that they get the right cord for you. And I was pretty much the lightest one, as well as the girls in the group, and I felt tiny. So whenever I come back, I was like, right, I'm definitely hitting the gym. I'm going to build up some muscle. I'm going to get big and strong. And I loved it. And I went to a great gym, and I got coached by a lot of guys there, and they showed me what to do right. And everything was very, very welcoming. And I started getting on my fitness journey for many, many, many years. Now, after that kind of sort of bodybuilding phase that I was going through and really, really enjoying it, the problem was it was taking up so much of my time being devoted to fitness. Whenever you kind of get into that mindset where everything revolves around it, well, then nothing else gets a chance for you to develop that. So whether it's to develop your skills and life skills as a person, whether it's to develop social skills, whether it's to develop your career, your relationships, your family relationships, anything like that, that kind of lifestyle is sort of 24/7. So whenever you sort of see somebody that's up at that kind of level, they don't do anything else. Everything
Yeah.
revolves around their food, revolves around their training. That's it.
It's
That's all their life.
unhealthy.
Okay.
Being healthy but unhealthy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they get a unhealthy kind of attitude, and that's completely where they're fixated at that time and at that moment. So for me, a lot of this moving on from there was to try and go, okay, I need to help other people, and I need to see how I can bring that from my own experiences into the realms of other people that are going through the same thing. So I became a personal trainer. I started coaching lots of guys, lots of girls in a local gym, getting really, really good results. Ended up going out on my own, taking a lot of sort of clients with me, and we were training in rugby pitches, we were training in halls, and I eventually had a CrossFit qualification where I was coaching people through there. I noticed that some of the clients that were coming through to me, they wanted to do that because they didn't want to train in a gym. They wanted to train away from that environment of a gym where people are buff and people are bodybuilding, or they're looking at themselves in the mirror, or they're staying away from that weight section, and they kind of just end up going in and going on the treadmill and doing the cross trainer for 15 minutes in each thing and walking out. And I basically just asked a lot of the girls that were coming through, why do you prefer this instead of training to the gym? Because if I ever brought it up, they would be like, no, this suits me better. I prefer training at the rugby pitch, or I prefer, training in the hall that you have, or training in the CrossFit place. And it kind of sort of occurred to me that they didn't like that gym environment. And basically the majority of it was down to they had extremely bad gym fear, and they hated the thought of going through that door. And it was like, the first day of school all over again, a really anxiety filled, frightening experience. And the more I kind of looked into this, the more I realized this is a massive thing for a lot of females all around the world, and not just kind of locally. So then I started branching out into training females in their homes. So I would have my car, I would have all my kit in there, and I would do a little bit of advertising, but a lot of stuff was just word of mouth. And I would travel around Northern Ireland, bringing all my kit, taking it all out, going into the home, train the female where she felt most comfortable, get really good results, hop back in the car, and then drive to somebody else's house. And then I would be doing that around the country. So I really, really enjoyed it, because it meant that I could focus on someone. They weren't getting distracted. They were able to trust what I was doing, and I'm a very professional coach, and everything, works out fantastic like that. And then they're getting really good results where they feel comfortable about it, and then they're telling their friends, and then we're getting more repeat business and things like that. So it worked out really, really well. And for a small location like Northern Ireland, from sort of Belfast and Lisburn and Hillsborough direction, I had some really, really good clients with home gyms and like really good setups and stuff like that. So what I wanted to do was to expand that further. So I started moving into the online coaching side of things, and luckily enough, I got to work with a great influencer called Lindy, and she managed to have me coaching her in her home as well, like I would with one of my normal clients, and any other given day of the week. And through that, quite a few of the girls would come through to me from online and say, look, I hate the gym too, and can you help me? Or I've been trying to lose weight for so long, or I don't know how to get toned, or I'm 6 months post-pregnancy. Is there something that I can do? And a lot of people came through to say, can you help me in some way, shape, or form? So I started the online coaching side of that thing specifically to help females around the world get more comfortable about their bodies right where they are at home. So that's kind of my background as to where I am now. I've got clients in sort of over 26 countries all around the world. It's really good fun. I spent my Mondays doing like Skype calls all day, and Thursday reviewing everybody's workouts. And I have a really good process where I can guarantee results with my clients, because I make it feel like I'm working on a specific one-to-one basis with them. So my story was basically me feeling a little bit anxious and a little bit body confident loss on myself, and then realizing that the people that really need the help most are the ones that have got no really other option other than fitness DVDs and YouTube workouts to follow. And a lot of the time, whenever they're following that kind of thing, they can hurt themselves or injure themselves, and because they don't know if they're doing the exercises properly, and they don't usually get the results that they're expecting, because a lot of advertising on that kind of thing can be fake. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
I love that. You've done kind of what I'm doing with this. Like, you go through your own struggles, you find out what works for you, and then you want to pass that on to other people. Like, congrats.
That's exactly it.
I'm glad that you exist in the world and that you offer this to people. I know you and I spoke like a little last week, kind of about this podcast and what we wanted to talk about. And a big thing for me is your story, kind of where it comes from and what you do, like what you did to now bring you to where you are now. Like, a lot of people look at people in their career or what they're doing, and they just think that's their job. but they kind of forget that sometimes there's a story behind it. There's a reason they do what they do. It's not just to pay the bills. It's that passion, it's the emotion they're connected to. And I can definitely speak to several things that Kyle's mentioned from following him, or I should say stalking him for a while. But he takes so much care with his clients that I've seen, like just from obviously knowing Lindy, who you've been working with one-on-one, but the kind of attention, like I know like a lot of us will follow online DVDs or YouTube. That's been my thing. And like Kyle mentioned, you might be doing a specific, move wrong and end up with back injuries or arm problems or problems with your knees. I've seen him actually post, like he's not just saying this, like proofs in the pudding. He's posted these stories with his clients that obviously have been comfortable enough to share these things, where he walks them through their posture and actually tweaks it. And you can see the progression in some of his clients that he's been posting about as well. So I highly recommend him for anything in this sort. He really takes his time. And the thing with you that I think a lot of online coaches don't necessarily offer is the time and the care. I've seen some people in my social networks who have went to the online coaching and like moved to the whole online space because of COVID, but they're kind of missing that element when it comes to online coaching that you've really honed in on, which I really just have so much thankfulness for. And I know some of my listeners might wonder, why is Amy bringing on a personal trainer, a fitness coach for a podcast like this? But when you listen to the why in Kyle's story, specifically onto the why he's been coaching these women, my story has been definitely the same. And I don't know if any of you guys have felt the same too, that not just as a woman in general, going into the gym. I used to go to the gym with a full face of makeup, with my hair done, with the best clothes ever that made my body look the best, because I was self-conscious. No joke. I remember going to the gym with one of my friends, and I don't know if anybody's watching on YouTube here, but I was like, I don't know what I was doing, like a plank or something, and my hair had fallen down, and I was just like this when I got back up again because I wanted to look good.
What a swish.
Like, stupid though. Like, I'm there to work out, but I feel like I had to put on a show. And I think a lot of that came from just being a woman and the patriarchy that comes behind being a woman and looking good. And that's what you see a lot of the time on Instagram. People putting these pictures of these beautiful bowls and the beautiful food they're eating, where they're in a calorie deficit constantly, and like too much of a calorie deficit to the point that they're unhealthy themselves. So you've got to be really careful with who you follow online and make sure that they're fact checking. And that's why I'm introducing Kyle to you, because I trust everything that he talks about. I genuinely know people that do his workouts and follow him and have paid for his services, and they're really seeing results. And Kyle, I don't know if how did you transition from getting away from the numbers? Like when you'd mentioned when you were going through your bodybuilding phase, how did you get that check for yourself?
For me specifically, whenever I was training, like this will scare you. I used to be at the opposite end of the scale from you. So I used to jump on the scale and weigh myself, weigh my food, eat my food, and then get back on the scale to weigh it, okay, to see if I was gaining weight properly. I would have sat down to a bowl of pasta that was absolutely massive with a fork, and I wouldn't leave the table until it was gone. I would have steak and potatoes for breakfast. Okay, right. I would eat a lot. I would eat a lot of food. And I enjoyed it. But I ate a lot of food. I don't have a big appetite, so like I could go the guts of the day without eating very, very much. Like I spend most of my days kind of intermittent fasting now whenever I'm working. And if I forget to eat, then I usually just eat the bulk of my calories later on in the evening. So what I kind of realized was that after I got like really big, and then I realized this isn't working properly and it's not healthy for me, and I've got a really bad sort of attitude, or I'm stuck so deep in the hole with it and I need to get myself out the other side, is that counting calories was a real sort of issue, where whenever you're constantly trying to hit the numbers and you're constantly hitting the numbers, well, sometimes that can take over your life, and sometimes you're constantly doing that. And the way I kind of have moved away from that is really, really simply by eating only whenever I'm hungry, eating the correct type of foods, and knowing what's a good portion size for me, and learning how to do that through simply just listening to my body and listening to my energy balance. And now what I do is I have my clients doing exactly the same. So I don't have any of my clients counting calories, only some of those clients that are on really, really low budget programs that I have. And everybody that I have, I will give them like a fully tailored nutrition plan that's based exactly on what their needs are. So it's based totally on the foods that they like, any foods they dislike, any allergies or intolerances they have, any food that they eat or don't eat for religious reasons, and what's seasonal for them in their country around the world. And whenever I give them the grams of the food that they're eating, well, then they don't have to count a single calorie. I've done all the hard work for that, doing that. And then what they will learn is basically what a portion size and what a plate looks like for them. So they'll know how much, protein looks like on a plate, how much veg looks like on a plate, and how much, carbohydrates, starch carbs looks on a plate. And from there, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, that doesn't really change. And everybody's kind of slightly different. And whenever you adjust that and give that to someone and it suits them and it's all the food that they love, well, there's no stress with counting calories. So they don't even focus on the numbers. They get the results and they stick to the diet because it's all the stuff that they love. And whenever you've got that simply set up for someone, they just continue to eat that portion size forever. If you're out for dinner, or if you're out for lunch or something like that, you can't say to a waiter, can you tell me how much calories is in my dinner right now so I can put it into my fitness pal? That doesn't work in the real world. So it goes out the window. But what does work is you can see what's on your plate and go, okay, that looks like the right amount of protein, but I'm going to have 2/3 of the carbs and I'm just going to leave some of these fries, or I'm going to have a side of veg instead of, X, Y, Z and stuff like that. So it's really, really simple and easy to sort of see and use portion size as to get over the numbers. And that's the way I do it. And that works really, really well. And I firmly believe like 95% of the population do not need to be wasting their time counting calories, because you only learn about calories, you don't learn about portion.
Yeah, and that's really important. And I love the fact, and I'm sure you guys listening, Kyle mentioned you can actually eat the stuff you like. Holy shit. I like when that's a huge wake up call for me, because the amount of times I've had trainers, and I don't know about you guys, but I would end up giving up or like lying to my personal trainer. Yeah. I've been eating my boiled chicken and my steamed vegetables that taste like nothing for like a week straight. I'd hands up who's lied. Like, come on, we all have. And that's one of the big things for me was I'd love what I was doing in the gym and I'd love my exercises. Well, in fairness, I loved the exercises I was doing in the gym, but I hated going to the gym just because of the stuff we'd kind of alluded to earlier. And nobody really wants to get picked up, asked on a date while you're, sweating like crazy. Fair enough. I did have a full face of makeup too, but but that's a big thing that stopped me from going to the gym. But a big thing that also stopped me from just staying consistent with my fitness when it came to this kind of exercise, like working out, was the diet side of things, because I wouldn't enjoy my food. And I'm someone who really enjoys food, and not necessarily bad food. Like, I'm a good foodie. I cook really, really well. I cook really good quality food. But I always find that diets, if we want to call them that, or restricted forms of eating or whatever, I guess because I had an eating disorder when I was younger, that was a little triggering for me. And then the food was always crap. It was always crap. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love some steamed fish and veggies, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you steam some carrots or broccoli, oh, it tastes so sweet, it tastes great. Boiling them, out the window. So I learned some things that I loved, but I found that I would give up a lot because of the food side of things. One, because it was triggering for me in the way that the coaches I worked with, I know they were still learning out and everybody's still finding what works well for people. This is a trial and error scenario, but it was just really triggering me. And as a result, it put me into that kind of negative space. And although I was doing the work on my body, I was starting to get some sort of results in my mind. It was almost giving me like body dysmorphia, and I was getting too fixated on the numbers, and I felt myself going into bad habits. So the fact that you take that pressure off people, you also give them food that they like, and like, I'm like, that's a bit of a no-brainer for me. Like, I love that you've came up with this, because I'm like, that all the things that was terrifying me of this sort of thing is you've got those answers for me.
It has to work like that. It doesn't work any other way in my professional opinion, because it's easy for me to give someone a workout plan to follow. It's easy for them to follow through that. It's a very, very different story for me to give them the food that I like and expect them to get results that I do, or the same food and calories that somebody else gets. The food that you like to eat now, Amy, is going to be the same food that you like to eat for the next 20 or 30 years. That won't change. So
Yeah.
there's no point in me giving you boring bland food or stuff that's exotic and expensive or that's going to go off in your fridge that you're just going to hate and never stick to. It has to be based around you. And if, you know, a good nutrition plan is based around you and you alone, you're going to stick to it. You're going to enjoy it and you're going to get the results. And at the end of the day, you know, you're not going to have to count calories or worry about that kind of side of stuff either.
That's great.
My girls are getting like sushi, they're getting pizza, they're getting bagels in there, they're getting everything.
Pizza and bagels, yeah. Sign me up. Sign me up.
So it's entirely dependent on the person. If you are counting calories, and if it is something that you do want to do, you know, the best kind of advice that I can sort of say to somebody that's doing that is, you know, count up the calories on the meal that you want to have the most. Say that's pizza for your dinner, for example. Put that in for your dinner at the start of the day before anything else. And then that will cut out of your calorie limit or whatever it is, your deficit that you've put in. And then you can work everything else around that and see where you're kind of going. And then you're going to know, okay, I've only got like 100 calories left. I'll have 300 grams of watermelon, and then that'll do me up until my, you know, pizza in the evening, which has already been accounted for. And bam, there you go. If you're counting calories like that, count the big meal that you really, really want in there first. Don't start with breakfast and then go to lunch and then go, oh crap, I've only got 200 calories left for dinner.
And then I'd be hungry. And then that makes so much. Well, in fairness, I was always hungry given the way I counted my calories, but that's a whole other story. But that makes so much sense. For me, I think even just learning from you what those portions would look like, and I've definitely started doing the whole listening to my body more. As a few of you guys know, and I'll be talking about it later this month on a podcast episode. But I ended up with some really horrible health conditions, and a lot of that was stuff I was born with. But when I had my eating disorder, I put a lot of pressure on my body, and my body started to attack itself because it wasn't getting nourished enough, and I became really weak. And as a result, I had to just listen to my body and give my body what it needed. I had to slow down, and I kind of started to realize that not only do I love broccoli, but like my body loves broccoli. When I eat a crap ton of broccoli, like I feel great. Now, yours might be carrots. You might like potatoes. I don't know. But for me, I knew I liked broccoli growing up and whatever else. But when I really started to listen to my body, she wants broccoli all the goddamn time. But I give it to her. Yeah. But I give it to her and it works. It genuinely works. And I know we're kind of backtracking a little here, but we're talking a little about like, I always give up because of food. And like, we've kind of jumped into the story on your tips, and thank you for sharing that. But I'm sure you must find some of your clients will give up too. Like, what's the most common thing you see from your clients, which are typically women, the why they're kind of giving up and then why they come back again?
So for me personally, a lot of the time doing over many years, over 10 years, you can kind of see the traits of what's going on with people. Like, and first off, the first thing that starts to happen is you get a slight lack of communication. And then therefore it's time to nip it in the bud and have a chat and see what's going on. So all my girls will speak to me at least once a week, and I'll be in communication, reviewing workouts and stuff like that the second time through the week. So they're talking to me at least a couple times a week. So if I start getting a lack of communication, then I'll touch base with them. I'll give them a call and I'll see what's going on. And usually I don't get many that just sort of cancel and say, oh no, look, I can't do this anymore, see you later, unless it's something financially, in which case that's fine. I've been through financial struggles. I hate the thought of putting pressure on somebody financially, so that's fine. You know, there's no issues with stuff like that. But whenever it comes to people that will have blocks that will stop them straight in their fitness tracks, usually it's number one because of a lack of self-belief, and that's usually before they start. Whenever they get going and they see their strength building up and they see that they're losing weight and they can follow all this really simple and easy sort of routines, then they kind of build that up, and that's what works. So the lack of self-belief before they start is a big one, and that's usually because they've tried a diet in the field before, just as we talked about. They've done something and they've hated the food, and then, you know, it's went out the window. They've tried so hard to count calories, for example, and then they can't be bothered with it anymore because it takes too much effort to do.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work counting calories. It sucks. They've maybe had a coach previously before, and maybe they haven't done well with that coach, or they haven't been very good, or they've done fitness classes previously in a room full of 30 other people, and instructor at the front of the class is only giving their favorite girl at the front all the attention, and
Yeah.
nobody else gets, told your squat's not low enough, or that needs to be heavier, or this is something, that needs to X, Y, Z. So for me, if I was coaching classes, I would only ever have 12 people in a class, no more, so I could
Something you can
keep an eye on
manage.
everybody. So the issues really are not the person. The issues are really external factors that go along with that. And there's no such thing as a bad student. There's only such things as bad teachers. And
Hey, I like that.
whenever we kind of get involved with a journey, you expect someone to teach you properly first time. So, for example, I have a lot of girls that, for example, if I was coaching face to face, and I would say, right, we're going to go for a really, really slow, gentle jog today. I would never even mention the RUN, okay? Because
Never.
people get extremely anxious about it, right?
And
And
these
usually
get in the way for women.
yeah, yeah.
These get in
Sometimes
the
you got
way.
to
They
push
can
sports bras
hurt.
on. You got to do all this stuff when you're running.
Yeah. And
All
it
that
can
kind
be
of
embarrassing when you're jumping around and you're sitting holding these in your class and you're like, I'm sorry, but it's what we got to do.
got to do, get it on with it, absolutely. But whenever you were a kid in school, and this goes for me as well, you were never taught how to run properly. You were just expected to run. So if you were doing laps of the pitch, if you were doing, right, we're going to go out for a run today, or we would have had to run from school. Everybody kind of had to do an element of that in school, and nobody ever showed you how. They just told you to do it.
Yeah.
And that can be a really anxious experience, because your breathing can be wrong, your stride can be wrong, or maybe there's somebody that's tall that's running really far ahead at the front of the group, and everybody that's shorter is right behind, and the teacher's shouting at them saying get up the front or whatever, and that can be a really scary experience. Like I've experienced that with myself through high school. And whenever we sort of come out the other side of that as adults, we still have that fear, because we still believe that we don't know how to do it, and we can't do it, and we're horrible at running, and it's
Oh my God.
it's a terrible experience. But the reality is, whenever you just teach someone how to run very, very gently and very slowly, and how to breathe properly so that they don't get a stitch, or their heart rate doesn't get too high and they get all anxious and overwhelmed, well, then they kind of get into the rhythm of it, and they love it. And everybody has that, and it doesn't matter whether it's losing weight, whether it's toning up, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's cycling a bicycle. Like, have you ever seen an adult cycle a bicycle for the first time that's never ridden a bike as a kid?
That's never did it? No.
It's the most terrifying look on someone's face you've ever seen. Okay.
I know for me, I hadn't ridden a bike in years. And then when I came to Vancouver, everyone loves going around the seawall, like on their bikes. And I was so wobbly. Like, I felt like it was almost like my first time riding it. And I was there with my ex, and he was just like, are you sure you know how to ride one? Because I was so like this, and I was freaking out. Give me like 10 minutes and then I was fine. But yeah, even for me, it was terrifying. And I ridden like crazy.
Absolutely. So whenever it comes to those kind of things, and it can be a really terrifying experience again, all over again. And then we kind of have that sort of we revert back to that mindset, because it doesn't know any better with how we felt before. We associate the word run with anxiety, and then it's just a no, it's a block. So it's all about the proper coaching. And the other side of it as well is a lot of the time there can be issues with people sabotaging what you're doing. So, for example, I would find a lot of the time partners, best friends, family members especially, can be really good at stopping you trying to achieve what you're trying to do. So whether you want to eat really, really well for a week, somebody will wave a chicken nugget in front of your face, or somebody will say, oh no, come on, let's just go for brunch, let's go for cocktails and mimosas and have some fun. Or somebody will say, your parents might say, oh, you're not eating enough, eat up, and just put more on your plate. And those kind of things are hard to move away from, because as soon as you tell somebody that you're on a diet or that you're trying to lose weight, well, then instantly what they will usually do is try and see why you're doing that. What's the reason behind that? They're not doing that, so why would you do that? And then you can have this vicious cycle of people trying to sway you off track and pull you off course.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you've said something there that's really in line with things that I've struggled with. When it comes to diet, I'm on a diet, I'm training for something. Have you ever found other language that works? Instead of, like, I know the word diet for me can be kind of triggering, and I know it's definitely can be that way for some of my listeners. Because it's kind of, when you say diet, I'm like, something I have to do, I'm restricted now, like the kind of mindset that goes along with it. Have you ever like played around with other language for it or calling it other things that kind of help people get away from that?
I just called a nutrition plan, like a fully tailored nutrition plan. I rarely ever use the word diet,
I
only
like
whenever I'm
that.
trying to explain something in sort of like simple terms. A nutrition plan is effectively the plan of the food that you eat. A diet, as such, is still the food that you eat, but a diet would sort of connotate it's lower calories or it's
Yeah.
hard to do or it's something extreme. But that's not true. It's just what we perceive whenever we
Yeah.
hear the word diet. I'm on a diet. You could be on a massive diet where you're putting on
Yeah.
weight, but it's the same thing. So a nutrition plan has that sort of effect where it doesn't sound as intense, if
Yeah.
you like, if you put
I
it that way.
like that. And that's, for any of you guys listening, whether you're deciding, I know a lot of people, a lot of my listeners have been talking to me about kind of obviously their mental health along with their physical health, and that's kind of why we've got Kyle on today. But I know a few of you have talked to me one on one kind of about what my journey's been like, because you guys see me dance and everything else. But a big trigger for me was that word diet. And I know some of us have talked about that as well. And yeah, just kind of reframing that word. Like, words are so powerful. I know we talk about this across all episodes, but it's obviously, like Kyle said, it's the mindset that we put on that word diet. So you can choose to try to work on how you see that word, or if you want to replace it, the likes of a nutrition plan. You just saying that, honestly, the word nutrition plan put me at ease. Like, just
Just
hearing
saying,
those words. Yeah, because when I'm doing, like, anybody who's doing their kind of path of self-development or self-growth, or working on yourself, it's all about
yeah.
feeding your body and your mind with the nutrients that it needs. So when I hear nutrition plan, I think this is good for me. When I hear diet, I hear rules, counting numbers, like all that stuff. So that's great for me. I love that.
Yeah.
I know you'd mentioned earlier that there's no such thing as bad students. There's only such things as bad teachers. But for me, and I've definitely got this vibe from some of my listeners as well, that there's a lot of us when we're on this journey, from self-development, working on our minds and our bodies, sometimes just buying the self-help book or booking the course is like enough. Or like, oh, I booked a call with the personal trainer, done, like I've did it. But then when it comes to actually doing the work, that's when we begin to slack off and then feel like it's not for us.
Yeah.
Have you, and I know you're speaking so beautifully of your people, because people first, and you're so humble in that sense. But when you have you came across many people that have kind of been like that just give up? And have you kind of known any common denominators as to why, or have you helped people kind of get past that?
I get tons of people that will book a call with me, and we'll get right the way through the call and they will go, yeah, that sounds amazing, I can't wait to start. And then they won't start, they won't come through. So um then I'll get back to in touch, and I'll see what's going on. I'll have a chat, and I'll try and ask and see what's going on. And usually they'll just say, oh, I'm just going to think about it for a while. And usually whenever someone says they need to think about it, it means they're not going to bother. Okay. And then the same people will get in touch maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, exactly in the same position, and still needing that kind of help, or else they're too embarrassed to get back in touch because they didn't start last time.
That would be
um,
me. I'm that
yeah.
person. I'd get a lot of anxiety about going back. Like a lot. I know there's some people that I've looked at doing courses with, not necessarily fitness courses, but
Yeah.
like, mental state courses. And even sometimes there was like some therapists that I looked at. I do see a great therapist that I like now, but even therapists that I've seen, where I'll have that consultation call, I'll back out, because not necessarily because I don't want to do it, because I do, but like I feel like I don't deserve it, or that I'm not good enough. And then when I start to get my confidence back up, I'm like, okay, I'm going to reach out to this coach, or I'm going to reach out to that person. But then I have so much like anxiety and stress, like, oh no, but I let them down because I didn't get back to them. And what if they think, and then I get so in my head that I just don't do it. Do you have any even advice for people that
Yeah,
maybe listening,
absolutely.
that have
Absolutely.
done this with you, but
A lot of the time, whenever you're sort of in that position, that comes from, being in a place of having low self-belief or having low self-love. And whenever that's the case, whenever you're trying to do something that's awesome for yourself and could potentially change your life, but you back out of it, it's because you don't think that you're capable of doing it.
yeah,
And a lot of the time that's because of previous failures and other things that we've talked about before. So in order to sort of build those first sort of steps of getting to there or getting towards the end result, that big step is a massive one. And I always firmly believe asking for help is a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. And a lot of people will believe that, and they'll go, oh no, I don't want to ask for any help, I want to do it all on my own, and I'll Google every diet and I'll figure it all out myself. And
yeah,
years and years and years goes by, and the same thing is continuing to happen. Unless you ask for help, you're not going to get it. And everybody likes to believe that whenever it's something material, then someone else can deal with that problem. If your car breaks
yeah,
down, you take it to a mechanic and you ask for help. If you've got a sore tooth, you go to the dentist and you ask for your help with your tooth. If you've got something that's personal and is a personal issue and is emotionally challenging, well, then sometimes it may be a little uncomfortable to ask for help. And the unfortunate kind of thing is a lot of people get lost in that, where the uncomfortable side of things is too uncomfortable to address, so
yeah,
therefore they stay being uncomfortable for the rest of their life in a different way. And the best thing that you can possibly do is to try and realize that position of self-love comes from doing something for yourself in order to get to the next stepping stone. And you should never feel like you're disappointing a coach or disappointing me or disappointing anybody around you whenever you're trying to do something good for yourself, because it only has positive intentions. It doesn't have negative intentions whenever you try and seek something better. So I would say if it is something that you're considering doing, if it is something that you want to try and start doing, then just start with some very, very small routines that you can do on your own. And whenever you start to realize that you can do those, well, then you're going to be in a better place to ask for that help, and eventually sort of realize that you can accept your wins and accept the things that you've already done, and you've achieved something, and then learn from the failures along the way. A lot of people don't accept their wins, and they don't give themselves praise for the good things that they do. So if they stuck to their diet or their nutrition plan for a week and then they went off the rails at the weekend, well, then they'll beat themselves up and they'll never do their diet ever again because they gained a pound back at the weekend. But they might have lost 2 pounds during the week, so they're still a pound down, but they don't accept the wins. They can only focus on the losses. So it's really, really important that you give yourself a pat on the back, you give yourself praise, and that you accept how awesome that you are and what exactly that you're doing, because it's a massive, massive thing, that we're all kind of guilty of, is being super critical and not being, happy enough with who we are and what we have.
that's so important. And I'm glad you shed light on that, because that's, as I mentioned, that's something I've struggled with. But with you just saying that, you're like, oh yeah, I hear this all the time. I see this all the time. Like, I think so many of us, when we go through that own little battle with our imposter syndrome, that we think it's just us. We think we're the only person and the first person that has ever felt like this. So to
Yeah.
hear you kind of, as soon as I ask that question, you jump in with an answer so easily. You're like, oh yeah, I hear this all the time. But it is so important. And I think that's maybe the thing with my journey with loving my body and giving back to my body. And this is where fitness comes in for me. I used to see fitness as calorie counting, getting skinny, looking good. Where now, when I think of fitness and dieting and gym, I think of doing it for me. Like, I've had so many health issues, so many injuries, and I just want to feel good in my body and trust my body and love my body and just feel happy in my own skin. I feel like I love my mind and my personality and who I am as a person, but my
Yeah.
body's given up on me so many times throughout the years. And with getting the right sort of food, the right like exercise that works for me, that's where I'm feeling like I love my body again. And that's what I want to remind you guys about when it comes to fitness and exercise and going to the gym. It's not about doing something because you have to or to look a certain way. It's about feeling connected with your body. We do our yoga, we do our meditation to be connected with our mind, but so many of us run from the physical side because we think, gym, people are going to stare at me, people are going to, I'm going to get obsessed about calories, I'm going to get hit on. That's where we kind of forget the fitness side. But it's so important So important. And that's why I wanted Kyle here to talk to you guys so you can get value from this. Hey everyone. This is the part of the episode that I warned you about earlier where I just want to give you guys a break. It's been a long journey to get to this point. There are only 20 minutes left of the episode, but I just wanted to hop on here and just give you the opportunity to take a break, whether it is you want to come back tomorrow in 5 minutes, you want to just keep going, or you want to come back another day altogether. I just wanted to let you know that this was a really good part in the episode to take that break if you so need it. And for those guys who are staying around, go grab a water, go take just 2 minutes, grab coffee, go to the loo, whatever you got to do. But most importantly, go grab a notebook. If you don't have a notebook, get the notes section out on your phone. Get ready to jot some information down. Kyle shares some incredible things that I think is not something I want you to just listen to. It's something I want you to note down, embody, think about it this next week, and just things to just start putting into your day-to-day routine. Really important information. And we also give you guys a bit of homework, stuff that we want you to try out this week over the next couple of days, and get back to both Kyle and I and let us know how you were getting on. So go take your break, do what you gotta do, come back when you're ready. And for anybody who wants to just keep going into the rest of the episode, let's just jump into that last 20 minutes. And that self-love, that doing something for you is key. We look at our minds, but our body's part of that whole package. And Kyle talks about all of this just so beautifully. And it's not about doing something for other people. I know Kyle's story started that way. He felt like the small guy, but he wanted to look big to fit in. But it's not about fitting in, it's about belonging and belonging within yourself. And that's so important. And I'm so glad that you've created the programs that you have and you take the time and effort that you do. Like, not a lot of trainers do this.
No, I know.
Some may be evolving to it now. And I'm so glad that thank you for actually taking the time and caring about what you do and the people you do it for. It means so much that you don't just do this to be the big buff guy. You do this because you care. And I think that's what's attracted to me so much to your story, your online presence. You can just see how much you love your clients. You're always like, come on girls, me and my girls. It's like they're your family. It genuinely comes across. And I love that not only do you share your story, but you're just so authentically you. You can see how much love and compassion you have for these people. You do what you do because you enjoy it, yes, but because you care and you want to make a difference. And I can see that just as someone who follows your social media account. So thank you.
Thank you. Right, stop it.
But it's true. But I think, and that's one thing I want to actually, I know every episode you guys listen to, I always set a homework for you, and Kyle has got homework for you, but we'll get to that later. But I want to actually give you guys homework now while we're in this topic, is pointing out something that someone in your life does for you or what they do, and thanking them for what they do. And when it genuinely impacts you, when you genuinely are connected to what they do, because there's so many people out there, they do podcasts, or they're a nurse, or they're a teacher, or they're even working marketing, and you really love their approach on how they do their job. So many of us do what we do, and we can get bogged down by the day-to-day. We can get bogged down by the pressures, especially during the times that we're in. We can really be stressing out about whether we're actually making an impact or not. If you come across someone who really does, even if it's just a friend posting words of encouragement in their Instagram story, I want to ask you guys, your homework this week from me is thank them for it. Just say thanks to someone and let them know how that impacted your day. Or, I saw a post you sent last week. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I've stuck it up as my mantra for the week. Thank you. This has really helped me. We don't thank each other enough. And I want you guys to do it. So that's your homework for me. Cal's got homework for you later. Sorry, so you're getting double this week.
I'll do your homework if you do mine.
Okay, I will. But I've still got some more questions for Kyle. But I wanted to set that in there while we were in the moment of the gratitude piece. So do it. Tell me how it went. Even if you want to reach out to Kyle, tell him how it went. We want to know. So tell us how you did with your assignment from me. And I know Kyle and I talked about the kind of most common blocks, doing something for you. But I want to ask Kyle, anybody who will start following him, You see that he's always full of energy. He's looks like such an empowered guy. He's just full of beans and really passionate. And I want to ask you, Kyle, what is it that you have in your life, whether it's something that you do or a person or a ritual that you do each day that makes you feel empowered? What's your thing?
That's a really good question.
Big or small?
Helping helping people, like connecting and helping people. So like if anybody sends me a message, I will always get back to it, and I'll always go out of my way to help someone with whatever it is. So if someone says, I'm really crap at push-ups, can you show me how to do a push-up on Instagram? I'll be like, yeah, send me videos through. I'll walk you through it. I'll give you a call, tell you how to do it. And I think it's just that sort of sense of, that now I am in a position where I can help people globally, that I think it's almost a duty of care of me to do that now, to help someone if they need it, because I think there's nothing more that there's nothing more that I can sort of do as a man to achieve anything more than I would already want to, other than to be able to help people feel happier and be better. And at the end of the day, everything is revolving about your own happiness and my own happiness, and helping you is what makes me happy. Helping other people is what builds my happiness up. It's not doing, that's the kind of stuff that I do. The things that I do for myself, like going to the gym or going surfing or going snowboarding, I love those things, and those are like really good things that I absolutely love, that I wouldn't give up for the world. But when it comes down to my ultimate happiness and what I think and I believe that my purpose is on the earth, is to help other people in any small tiny little way that I can. So that's what I get my energy from, and a lot of coffee as well.
I love that, the coffee part, but I also love what you've said, and that may be why you've stood out to me. But obviously, yes, you've stood out to me through Lindy. She's a good family friend of ours, good friend of mine. So of course I'd see you through there. But I think that's the thing that's maybe had you be such a strong presence for me, and someone that I was so called to or drawn to, is because my values are very much the same. Like even with the line of work that I do outside of this whole podcasting world and singing world, it's HR, it's recruitment, it's making a difference in people, because I want to literally be part of something more and change other people's lives.
Absolutely.
Even with performing, it's watching that the biggest thing for me is not the rush of being on stage. It's seeing that one person in the audience cry when I sing, and I'm like, yes, someone felt something. Like it's so
I
nice.
touched someone's heart.
Yeah, but it's when you do something for you, but it's for somebody else. Like that's what we need more of in this world. It's just such a beautiful thing, and it lights me up. Like as soon as someone even messages me about the podcast or says thanks, or somebody calls me to say they want the candidate, and I call the candidate, tell them they got the job, just hearing that excitement in someone, how that impacts you. Like oxytocin is like the best drug out there, and you know what, guys, it's totally free and it's legal. Like go get all the oxytocin. Like being happy, like that's it's literally free. That energy source is free, and the impact that makes on your body, and I'll probably put a link actually to a more scientific video. It's really short though, on how oxytocin actually affects your body, but it's incredible, and it does so much good. You get better sleep, better energy, your diet, like your digestive system, everything gets so much better from oxytocin. And we forget to smile, we forget to connect with people, and that's the best way for us to get it. So like maybe my homework will be a good way for you guys to start getting a little bit of oxytocin by sharing the love and saying thanks. But I know, as I mentioned, I'm not the only one that has homework for you this week. So Kyle, what's the action you want to give guys this week? What's your homework?
It's really, really simple to try and get started on, your own sort of journey. And we've talked previously about, self-love and how to try and, get better at that. And, then we've talked about blocks and things that hold you back. And then we've sort of, talked on a few other things there about food and how that can trip you up, or counting calories and things like that. And a really, really good way for anybody to get started is to simply plan a little bit, because whenever you don't plan things, then you end up kind of down this rabbit hole of watching cat videos on Instagram or Facebook. I'm guilty of that. Okay. or doing things for other people to try and please other people. And whenever
That's
you do
me.
that, then it saturates and sucks your own time away from you. Okay. So people are like sponges. If they can get something from you, they'll take it. Okay. They'll just take your time and they'll take your energy, and they'll suck all that up, leaving you with nothing. And the best thing that you can do is to plan out your day so that that doesn't happen. So the homework is to simply plan out 3 HVTs, or high value tasks, that you can do tomorrow or the next day or the next day after that, or every day if you want to, that you will do before any other 3 tasks. Okay. And it's not like, oh, hello.
What's a HVT? For anybody who's
So
watching
high,
on YouTube, I put my hand up. I'm like, I got a question. What
that's
on earth
okay.
is high? Yeah. What did you
So
call it?
a high value task
What would
is,
that look like? Like if
so a
you were
high
to
value
explain.
task is something that brings value to your life instead of taking away from it. Okay. So high value task for someone that is unorganized is to plan out their day. Okay. For a high value task for somebody that wants to lose weight is to watch what food they're eating for the day. If it is for someone that doesn't drink enough water, it's to increase their water intake for the day. If it's somebody that is always, waking up exhausted the next day, it's to go to bed at 10 p.m. and put the phone in another room. Okay. These are kind of high value tasks that a lot of us need to get back on track with. So
I like that. I'm
a
gonna
really good,
actually give that to my sister, because I know any of you young mums out there. Well, not young mum. My sister's older than me, but she's still young. You got not got many wrinkles yet, Lisa.
yes,
But
yes.
I know for any of you people out there that I know, I hear a lot from her. When you're a mom as well, you kind of, you don't have you time anymore, because you're just the mom. You're running around doing everything. So sometimes it's about locking yourself in the room and just like reading your book or drawing or doing your other stuff. So like it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific, tailored thing. It's also, if you're someone who gives up a lot of your time for other people, remembering to take time for you. I do that. I'm a big one for that. Like if someone says they need me, I drop everything. But I know I've got better with it over the years, but I have an unhealthy balance with that, where I'll give
Mhm.
so much of myself and then I'm burnt out and I've not got any of my own goals or tasks done. So I like this, like 3 for the week. That's totally doable. Totally doable.
3, I would try and do 3 for a day, but just make
Oh,
them
okay.
extremely,
Whew.
extremely simple. Okay. Because if you try and plan out, this is really common. People go, okay, I'm going to do a really good diet today. I'm going to make sure that I go to the gym directly after I go to work. And then I'm going to do an hour studying before bed. And then I'm going to read a book or listen to an audio book. And then I'm going to, go for a walk. That's way too much stuff. And you'll never, ever get
Yeah.
it all done, ever. Okay. If you have got 3 good tasks that you can do, that you can invest 30 minutes into each one, that's tons. Okay. You will achieve more if you can do those 3 tasks in one day over 7 days than if you try and do 5 in one day over a whole week. Okay. You'll get so much more done and you'll be hyper productive. So the best thing to do is write down the night before the 3 tasks that you're going to do. Okay. So write down your daily goals and write down task number 1, get an extra hour sleep at night. Task number 2, have 2 glasses of water first thing in the morning when I wake up. Task number 3, do a 15-minute workout at a time that suits me. Okay. Before 8 p.m. or something like that. So you've got yourself a time constraint there to work to. Okay. And then what to do the next day is to write down, or you can do it the night before as well, write down what you're going to do for every hour of the day. And write down whenever you're going to do those 3 tasks. So, okay, first thing in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, I'm going to have my 2 glasses of water before breakfast. Right. Okay. Next one, I'm going to make sure that I go to bed at 10 p.m. and my phone's in the other room, and that's going to get me an extra hour sleep at night. And then I'm going to make sure that I do my workout directly after dinner. Dinner's at 6 p.m. And then anything else that's in your day, you can fill it in. Okay. It's a simple case of trying to be a tiny little bit organized so that the phone doesn't suck your attention, so that friends and family and people don't suck your attention away, so the TV and Netflix doesn't suck your attention away. And you can do high value tasks that are more conducive helping you get the results that you want as a person, help you build more self-love, and for you to get more confident about yourself.
I love that. That's a lot of homework, but I will do it, Kyle. You do my homework, I'll do yours, and we need to check in on each other at the end of the week to see how we've
Sounds like
both
a
been
plan.
doing. I'll give you
Okay,
a list of
virtual high
what.
five.
I love it. I love it. We're keeping each other accountable, and we're also keeping you guys accountable. We want to hear what you've been at, so I'll be checking in. Kyle, before I let you go, I know we've talked about some really good stuff here, but do you have any, last words of wisdom, last, nuggets of information or top tricks that you want to pass on to the people
Millions,
before I let you go?
loads.
Pick one or two.
Snacking's a really simple one to go through. Whenever you snack, then it leads you into other bad habits. Okay. So snacking is an issue whenever you're working at the computer all day. Okay. And you're eating at the computer all day because you know that you can open your mouth and stick your finger in it and you don't even have to look where that is. Okay. So anything that's hand to mouth is simple to do. Try and do that with a fork and you're going to have to look what's going on. Okay. So try not to eat directly hand to mouth. If you're doing that, it's going to be too simple for you to work with one hand, play on the phone with this hand, and eat with the other. Okay, dead simple. If you swap that out for having something that you have to actually sit down with a knife and fork and eat, you're going to get much more out of the meal. And as well as that, you're less likely to be eating over what you are whenever you're eating hand to mouth at your computer or whenever you're watching TV. Like if you've ever been to the cinema and like the trailers are starting and before you know it, you're halfway down the box of popcorn and you're like, oh my God, the movie hasn't even started yet. What am I going to do? And then you have to like slow down your popcorn to trailer ratio. See, bad idea. Try popcorn with a knife and fork. It's a nightmare. The last the thing to do is if you can sort of think about eating food and we kind of think about, right, a really good simple thing to do is to only eat whenever you're hungry, right? You need to try and figure out if you're actually properly hungry. And a lot of people will eat food whenever they're dehydrated. A lot of people will eat food for an emotional reason if they're stressed as well.
Especially with COVID, working from home. Like I've done both of those things when I was still working from home, was the snacking hand to mouth because it's just there, the kitchen's right there. Then being bored, like I find myself eating so much more at the start of all of that.
Boredom, procrastination. If you've got like a ton of work to do and something that you know is really going to suck the time out of you to do this work and isn't really going to be a lot of fun, then eating food seems much more like a better idea. So then you'll end up doing that instead. We kind of do these sort of things, but the main thing to sort of go is to realize whenever you're actually hungry, that's whenever your body's telling you, okay, you need to eat now. Okay, at any other time, and you probably don't need to eat. So that's a really simple one snacking wise to try and go for. And the last kind of thing is like protein is one of those things that helps you feel full really, really for a longer time. Eating carbohydrates won't switch on those hormones in your brain to tell you that you're full. Okay, protein and fats will. So if you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, basically you're filling that stomach up to the top and then it's going to expand, but it's not going to tell you that you're full. Like that's why you can eat a big dinner and have a massive steak or something and still have room for dessert because your body recognizes that all that, sugary stuff won't make it feel any fuller. But if somebody give you another lump of steak, you'd be like, no, not having it. Okay, your brain associates the protein with being full. So whenever you're eating your food, try to have your protein first and then your carbs second. Try and have your protein first whenever you're having your carbs second. And that's going to help you feel fuller quicker. You're going to potentially eat much less carbs. And if you're snacking on stuff, try and make sure that there's got some sort of amount of protein in it. Greek yogurt's great. Smoked salmon's fantastic. Nuts are good too, but you want to make sure that you're not eating too many of them. And those kind of things are going to switch those hormones on to tell your brain that you're full. Okay, just top it up in carbohydrates. You're going to be hungry 20 minutes later because you haven't put the right stuff in. So keep your protein nice and high. That's a really good simple reason why to do it. Make sure that whenever you are hungry, that you're eating actually because you're hungry and not because you're bored or you're procrastinating or you're just dehydrated. Top up with some water first and then see what happens. Hunger comes in waves, and as soon as it disappears, you might find, oh, I wasn't actually hungry, I was just quite thirsty there. So there's a few simple nuggets for you. If you need me for anything, do just get in touch and drop me a message, and I'm more than happy to help any of you out and reach out to you. Okay.
And that all helps hugely. And I know some of you might be like, but what's that got to do with your mind and everything else? But I feel like when you're eating right and you're giving your body the right stuff, your mind's so much more in check. You become a lot happier. Everything's a balance. You sleep better. It's so important. And that's why I've got Kyle here. I appreciate those nuggets. They mean a lot. And I'm definitely going to pay attention to them more in my day today. And I know we touched on it a little. And I know I said I had one question for you, but let's make this two. When it comes to the advice and words of wisdom, you gave us a great answer with regards to little tips that people can put into their day to day when it comes to their habits, maybe some bad habits too, especially with working from home. But with that, I feel something that goes really hand in hand with the dieting, the snacking, the kind of ways of eating your food and making room for dessert. Um, when it comes to the motivation behind that, or like feeling motivated to keep doing it. I know for me, working from home and all the COVID stuff, I've became so unmotivated, and I've just dropped to the point that I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to eat my pizza or do this. What would be your top tips to kind of stay motivated and kind of remind people that they're doing this for them, so that they stay away from those bad habits or can
So
change those bad habits?
the best thing that you can do in order to sort of stay motivated and stay accountable within yourself is to make sure that you've got some solid goals there from the very start that you're aiming for. If you kind of wish-washy and sort of go, oh, I want to lose some weight, that doesn't really, it's not really granular, it's not really specific. The best thing that you can do is to have an extremely specific goal that you can stay accountable to. So whether that is, okay, I want to make sure that I'm drinking 2 liters of water a day by 4 p.m. Then make sure that you've got an alarm set in your phone at 4 p.m. So by the time it goes off, it's giving you that reminder that, okay, I need to get this last glass of water in or something. You've got to have something to stick to. And whether that is something simple like increasing your water, whether it's going to bed earlier and getting more rest and recovery, the goal setting part of it is massively, massively important. If you do not have decisive goals that you're aiming for, you're just winging it, okay? And you're just wishing for it to happen, and it won't happen as simply as that. You've got to have some sort of planning and structure in place. So if you're working at home, if you're sitting on the laptop all day, and then it's tempting just to jump in to the TV and watch a bit of Netflix before you go to bed and have a flick through your phone for an hour and a half, just sort of think of it this way, where you've got the goals planned out, put a time frame on them so that you can aim for something realistic, and therefore you've got something to aim for. So whether that is to drop a jean size, whether that is to get into an old pair of shorts that you've got sitting out, put them on your dresser or whatever it is that you need to do, whether it's you've got a wedding coming up, whether it's you're going to look good for the Christmas party, anything at all that it is that you are trying to do for yourself, not other people, well, then you need to give yourself a really good solid set of goals in order to stick to that. And the best way that you can do that is by doing that plan and structure, having 3 good tasks a day that you can really simply and easily stick to. And the end result is going to be your big goal. Okay, have the big goal set out and have all the little small things that you need to do each day in order to get to that big end goal. So that's it, simple.
Man, I love that. And I love how you make it so simple. Like, that's the thing we guys forget, I think, is we put so much pressure on ourselves. These things seem so unobtainable that we just give up. But rather than looking at the smaller steps instead of the big picture, that's how we end up achieving the goal without even realizing. And that's so important. And I know for some of you, your goal right now might just be making sure you actually get out of bed. Some of you, your goal might be something as simple as, I know a lot of people have been having a lot of anxiety right now with social side and contacting people, and they've slipped away from a lot of their friend circles. It's about giving that friend a call. It can be so many different things, and it's all about starting small and doing something that's manageable for you. And going into my journey, there was definitely times when I used to have a stool in my shower because I couldn't stand up in a shower without fainting. I couldn't get dressed sometimes by myself because I would collapse. Now I dance twice a week and I bike 40 kilometers without blinking. But where I've got to my bigger goals now, I started small. And sometimes my goal was to be able to walk from my bed to the kitchen and then drink water and walk back. So everyone's goals are going to be different sizes, different abilities. Obviously, when you start to get your mobility back in your body and you're wanting to make those bigger leaps, of course, reach out, get some tips and tricks from myself. Even Kyle, something as simple as knowing how to do a push-up right. As he mentioned, people have reached out to him and get his little tips. And I know I'll definitely be reaching out to him for some advice too. Now that I'm working on some bigger goals myself, I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And like we talked about with Steph a couple of weeks ago, safety first, not only from your mindset. Kyle's here to talk about safety first from the physical side. So really, really important things to make sure that we're not harming ourselves when we're working out at home, and even just starting our whole fitness journey to make sure we're eating right and not harming our bodies too, because I've definitely fallen short of that one. So Kyle, with all of these words of wisdom that you have, and obviously your programs that you have, if any of my listeners are intrigued to reaching out to you, well, not even if, because I know you're all going to be super interested because he's a great guy. Where can they find you? How can they reach out?
You can either get in touch with me on Instagram, is where I'm probably most active, and you'll get straight through to me there straight away at attitude_fitness, or via my website, attitudefitness.co.uk. Either one of those channels, you'll get me straight away.
Perfect. And I will have a link to Kyle's info in the description here as well. And I will have it shared on my profile. So if any of you guys want to reach out to him, you can do that through me as well. But Kyle, thank you so much for coming on. If any of you guys want Kyle on again in the future to cover any other topics, ask, put the question out there. Who knows? We'll put the guy under the spotlight again. And a big thank you to Kyle. This is Kyle's first podcast. So thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. Loved it.
Well, hopefully it opens more doors for you. You know, more people will want you on. They'll see you on a podcast and they'll think, why don't we get him on? He's great at talking. And I think the issue with maybe us, I don't know how long this episode's going to go, but you get two people from Northern Ireland on a video and we don't shut up. So this may have ended up in a two-parter. I don't know. But if you're getting him on for a podcast, just make sure you got some time, you know.
Oh, yeah. I had your battery charged.
Yeah, I made that mistake. But Kyle, it's been great to have you on. I thank you so much. I'm really excited to hear what the listeners have thought of this episode. So yeah, I guess until next time. See you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.
Bye, Kyle.
Thank you so much for listening to the Rewrite Your Story podcast. It would truly mean the world to me if you could subscribe and leave a review on whatever streaming platform you listen to this on. Leave a written review, a 5-star review. It truly helps to get this into the ears of those who really need to hear it. If you're not already a member of the Rewrite Your Story community, you can find us at rewriteyourstory.ca on Facebook, Instagram, and our website. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week. Bye.